She stood upon the silent ridge where ice breathed like a living thing. The sky burned pale with winter stars, and the wind carried ancient songs. Below her the frost dragons circled slow and patient as moons in thought. Their wings traced silver arcs that stirred the snow into drifting veils. She watched without fear because watching had become her duty and her vow. Long before this night she had learned that strength did not shout. It did not arrive with banners or thunder or boasts of conquest. Strength could arrive softly like a steady heart in a storm. Strength could arrive as humanity had arrived across the frozen frontier. They came with ships that whispered through vacuum and landed without scars. They came with hands empty of weapons and minds full of questions. They came with respect for the cold and patience for the long nights. She remembered the first landing as a hush that spread across the ice. The frost dragons had risen, and not in rage but in curiosity. Their eyes like blue suns had studied the newcomers with ancient calm. Humanity had stood still and waited, breathing slow beneath the aurora. That was when she first felt the quiet strength unfolding. Tonight the dragons circled again, drawn by memory and by trust. She followed their paths with her gaze counting each slow turn. Every beat of wings echoed lessons learned across hard years. No line of command had forced this piece into being. Humanity built shelters shaped to the wind and warmed by shared effort. They listened to elders of ice and mapped storms with care. They healed the land where engines touched and sang apologies to stone. She watched all this as an observer sworn to truth. The frost dragons tested them with blizzards and hunger and time. Humans answered with endurance and kindness and a refusal to break. They shared heat and stories and tools fashioned to last. Quiet strength unfolded again and again like dawn. On this ridge she felt the past breathe through her cloak. She felt the present steady as a drum beneath her feet. She felt the future waiting like a clear road after snowfall. The dragons descended in a spiral of trust. One landed near the ridge, folding wings with deliberate grace. Ice steamed from its scales, and the ground did not crack. The dragon lowered its head and met her eyes. She bowed not from fear but from respect earned. Below the settlement lights glowed soft and steady. No walls of steel, no towers of threat, just warmth and order. Children slept while guardians walked with calm resolve. Humanity rested without needing to prove itself. She remembered the wars of other stars where strength screamed. She remembered empires that shattered worlds to feel powerful. Here strength whispered and endured and healed. Here strength chose patience over dominion. The dragon lifted its head and sang a low note of accord. Other dragons answered, weaving harmony through the night. The sound settled into the valley like a promise kept. She felt tears freeze at the edge of her sight. Years of watching had taught her the measure of true resolve. It was found in tending fires through endless dark. It was found in standing still when violence invited motion. It was found in choosing care even when unseen. Humanity had offered its quiet strength to a world of ice. Not to rule it, not to tame it, but to belong within it. The dragons accepted not as masters, but as neighbors. Balance grew where fear once lived. She turned from the ridge at last, carrying the truth within her. That strength need not roar to shape the stars. That patience could bend fate more surely than force. That humanity had earned its place without conquest. Behind her the frost dragons rose together into the sky. Ahead of her the lights of home waited calm and sure. The night held fast and the future opened clear. Quiet strength continued to unfold without end. She walked down the ridge path where ice crystals rang beneath her steps. The wind followed gentle now as if listening to her thoughts. Above her the frost dragons formed a slow-moving crown of light. Their shadows passed over snow like memories drifting across time. She remembered the first winter when supplies ran thin and hope thinner. Humans gathered not in panic, but in shared resolve and quiet planning. They rationed warmth and laughter equally so no one felt alone. Strength unfolded there unseen by any watcher from the stars. In those days, storms raged for weeks without mercy or pause. Shelters trembled and ice sang under pressure older than history. Yet no one abandoned another and no voice rose in command. They survived by trust and by the simple act of staying together. She reached the lower plane where the settlement breathed softly. Generators hummed low-tuned harmony with the land. Gardens slept beneath thermal shields awaiting a distant spring. Every structure told a story of restraint and understanding. A child stood awake at the window watching the dragons glide. Wide eyes reflected ancient light and unspoken wonder. No fear lived there, only curiosity and quiet pride. This too was strength growing without instruction. The elders met each dawn not to rule but to listen. Decisions formed slowly shaped by many voices. Even disagreement carried respect like a shared language. Nothing here needed to be forced into place. Beyond the valley, old scars of ice showed where battles once raged. Not human battles, but the fury of a wounded world. Humanity had learned to read those scars like lessons. They built away from them, allowing healing time to wake. The frost dragons descended again farther from the homes. They nested near the crystal cliffs where winds sang pure. Humans never claimed those lands nor asked permission to enter. Boundaries were honored without need for walls. She paused beside the outer beacon and looked back once more. The sky shimmered with color born of cold and patience. Dragons and stars shared the same slow rhythm. It felt like belonging written across the universe. Long ago she had feared humanity would change this world, that engines and ambition would carve it into silence. Instead, humanity changed itself, learning when to step lightly. Quiet strength reshaped destiny without leaving scars. As night deepened, she logged her final observation for the record. Not of power, not of conquest, not of dominance, but of endurance, empathy, and the courage to remain gentle. These words would travel farther than any weapon. The frost dragons lifted their voices once more, not in warning. Their song carried approval, recognition, and shared guardianship. The sound wrapped the settlement like a living shield. No treaty was signed, yet all was understood. She closed her eyes and breathed in the frozen air. Peace here was not fragile, nor temporary, nor loud. It was built each day through countless small choices. Humanity's quiet strength still unfolding among the stars. Morning would come with pale light and drifting snow. Work would resume as always, steady and uncelebrated. Dragons would watch and humans would continue living gently. The story would go unwritten without need for applause.